Hey, what's up? So in one of my previous videos, how to light glass like a pro in Blender, about 15 minutes long, part of it I showed how to create this infinite white background. But I wanted to make a dedicated video because I think it's an important concept and it's really cool as well. Alright, so this is what it looks like. This is the setup here. There's actually a very simple way and a more advanced way. I'm going to show you both of them. Alright, so let me clear this out and let's start from scratch to show you exactly what's happening. I already have an HDRI that I set up. Let me just plug that back in so that we can see the plane in all its glory and see what is happening. Let me turn off the backlight as well. Alright, great. So with that plane selected, let me give it a material. Alright, so Shift A, I give it a shader principled BSDF. Control Shift left click and plug that in. Alright, great. So remember what we want to do. We want to actually have this white floor that is on. We want it to fade. We don't want to see this edge in our final render. That's the concept. All right, so we could put this completely white and then turn the roughness all the way down. All right, so that's the first step. But now what we want to do, if it is that I add the backlight, right, so what we would see, actually let me turn this off. All right, so let me turn off that background. All right, and so here we can still actually see our plane. If you press GY, you still see it. You still see that edge there. So the simple way, really, if you want to get rid of that edge without doing anything advanced, then we just have to make this plane a bit longer, and not only that, we also could increase the intensity of this light source. So if we put it to something like 50. All right, so because the plane here it's far away from the object, this light will bounce out of that and it will sort of fade into it. All right, but so that's an easy way, but sometimes it still shows up a bit. So let me show you the more advanced way. All right, so let me turn this back down to what we had it before, 10. So here's what we want to do. We actually want this plane, as mentioned, to fade into the background. So we're going to use light path, Shift A, light input, light path, and we're going to use the ray length of the camera. A ray length tells us how far a ray has traveled since it was emitted from the camera or since its last bounce. Remember, in a path tracing engine like Cycles, rays are emitted from the camera, not the light source. So we could use that information to fade things out the further they are away from the camera. So let me just preview to show you what is happening. So let me turn back off our background and turn back on our world. Right, so you could see the plane again. All right, and so now with this light path node, let me just preview the ray length. So Control Shift and preview that ray length. Right, so what we just noticed that the plane here, it's showing as white, and that's because all the ray lengths are 1 or above. But we could adjust that because, well, before we adjust it, let me show you. Let me press Control 3 and show you what happens if I bring the camera a bit closer. So if let me bring it any closer, and you will notice that the closer it gets, you see it gets a little darker. It gets a little darker, so it's going like below 1. All right, so let me backspace. All right, so let me select the plane again, so we could actually affect that. So if I introduce a math node, and by the way, that's a shortcut. All right, so you could just press Shift A and converter math. All right, and if it is at the same information here, we we divide it and bring it up. You notice that we change this information. Now forget all the maths now. We just concentrating now on this gradient that we're creating. We could press Shift A and add a converter color ramp, and we could manipulate that even more. So set it to ease, and if we drag this, you'll notice, you see what's happening there. This white part, I actually want this to be more white than that. So do you know why we could click this flag, select here, and set this to like 5? So yeah, we could do that. And so what will happen here is that, remember, we want to fade out this edge. If it is that this edge, the camera could see this edge as transparent, well, that will be really cool, and that will create our effect. And that's exactly what we're going to do using a transparent BSDF. So Shift A, shader, transparent BSDF. And we want, as you mentioned, we want the camera when the raised lengths are 1 and above it, we want it to see nothing. So infinite, transparent. So Control Shift right click and mix those two. And so the factor is going to be influenced by our setup. So the top part will show the black part. So it's black and white. So wherever it's this, whatever this is plugged into, it will show the black part. And if the transparent is plugged into the bottom part, it will show white. Let me say that again. So this represents black and this represents white. So what is plugged into here will represent 0 or black, this here. And what is plugged in here will represent white. It will show up here. And so in this case, wherever it's white, it will show transparency. So if it is that we take our setup and we plug this into the factor and then Control Shift left click, you will notice that here we still see it because it's not totally white. But what if now we adjust it even further? You actually see what's happening. You see that? So you notice that it's fading out. So the more it gets white, the more it fades out. And so if it is we bring back our scene, let me turn back off this world setting here. All right, sorry, Control right click and turn back on our background. You see, that's exactly what's happening there, and we could even adjust it even further according to how we like it. All right, and so that we make sure that this gradient goes nicely and fades into transparency, so to get this plain or infinite white background. All right, so I hope that was helpful. If it is you like this kind of stuff about product photography especially, I have a course on 3D product visualization, and in that course is actually way more than I intended to put there. It really just supposed to be about workflow, but there's a whole lot more inside there. And right now it's 25% off. You could check it out in my Gumroad. I'll put the link in the description. And feel free also to download my free node group, is the Ultimate Strip Box. You will see it in my Gumroad as well. Alright, so I hope this was helpful. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.